Hi there, it's Mark Weiss, and this is Fraud on Fridays. Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow were infamous for robbing banks and gas stations across Depression-era America. The Tans preferred insurance companies. The Tans, you ask? I'm referring to the now formerly licensed physician Clarabelle Tan, MD, and her husband Daniel Tan. They operated a rheumatology clinic in Anchorage, Alaska, beginning in 2005. Clarabelle treated patients with chronic autoimmune and musculoskeletal conditions such as rheumatoid arthritis, serious, painful, often degenerative diseases, the kind that require long-term medication management, the kind where patients depend on their physician completely. Yet, according to the Department of Justice and a pair of guilty pleas, the Tans exploited that dependence for 15 years. Starting in 2009, Clarabelle routinely injected patients with free medication samples, expired medications, and medications other than those prescribed, and then billed insurance plans as though she had administered the proper treatments. Daniel's role? Ordering insufficient medication for the clinic and handling the fraudulent billing side of the business. The numbers tell the story starkly. The Tans billed insurance plans for 4,829 units of medication. They actually purchased 369. That's not a rounding error. That's a choice made repeatedly over 15 years. The financial victims were more than 10 insurance plans, which paid out over $12.5 million. But the real victims were the patients, people with chronic illness who believed they were receiving the medications their doctor had prescribed. The Tans also ran a companion tax fraud operation. They overstated clinic expenses on their tax returns to conceal how much money they were actually making, and then simply stopped filing returns for the clinic from 2018 to 2021. The tax loss to the IRS, $4.2 million. Here's the detail that stands out most. In July 2019, federal agents executed a search warrant on the clinic. They found stockpiles of expired medications, free samples marked not for sale, and improperly stored syringes. After the search, the Tans temporarily began purchasing the medications they were billing for. Then, in 2021, they went right back to the fraud. They didn't stop until a federal grand jury indicted them in July 2024. Both pleaded guilty in November 2025. On March 17, 2026, Clarabelle Tan was sentenced to 6.5 years in federal prison, and Daniel Tan received 3 years of probation, 2 of which are to be served in home confinement. The government seized $10.4 million in fraud proceeds. The Tans also submitted a $6.3 million payment toward restitution and paid $1.8 million to settle civil False Claims Act claims. Clarabelle surrendered her medical license. Bonnie and Clyde died in a hail of bullets. The Tans' ending is considerably more orderly, but Dr. Tan's prison term is real, and Mr. Tan's years of home confinement won't be much fun. The takeaway for clinicians is straightforward. A physician's signature or a physician's syringe is the foundation of the billing relationship with every insurance plan you deal with. When that foundation is fraudulent, the consequences fall mainly on the physician, not on the office manager, not the billing staff, and not the spouse, even if he helped in the scheme. Stay tuned. There's always more fraud to unpack next Friday.